Okay, folks. So here we are down at the bench with a little update on the Apache from Takom. This is the AH-64D longbow kit. What can I say about the kit so far? I absolutely love it. The instructions, we'll call those a guide, I think, as opposed to actual definitive instructions. Is it a kit for a beginner? Probably not. There's lots and lots of reading ahead, planning the build at every single stage. You really have to take your time, checking reference pictures with every stage of the build. But if you do that, it is such a beautifully detailed kit. Everything fits in the main, and I think it's going to turn out really, really nice. So I'm building this as an entry into the Anglo-American group build, which is between ourselves at Black Rifle Model Works and the Triple P, the Plastic Posse podcast. The link to find that group build, which is running until the end of October, is in the description of this video. If you want to jump on board with that. So I'm building this, the idea being that the Apache longbow has been used in the past by the armed forces of both the United States and the United Kingdom, albeit with some changes, but an Apache is an Apache ultimately. So this is where we're at. As I say, I've been taking my time on every single stage to make sure I get it as good as I can get it. There'll be people out there that are building this that are going to do a way better job than me, but I'm taking my time with it. So if you look back on the channel, the first part, which was the cockpit using the Red Fox detail upset, so that's all done. Then I moved on and built the rotor assembly, which is in here. Most of it you can't see, but that took a while due to the instructions. Then it's sort of putting the fuselage together, really. And to be fair, the fit is not bad. It's a pretty good fit. There is some seam work to do just down the center of the airframe here, and there was a little dip in the plastic, whether pressure of it being in the box or whatever. So just some warm water just to get this bit here as flat as we can, as it is on the real aircraft. And then again, a little bit of seam work along the tail here. I've still got to work on this bit here on this curve just to deal with this seam, but there's not a lot to do regarding the seams. And then we attached all the photo etch, all the lumps and bumps, all that sort of stuff. So what I have done is I've added my own wiring. So the avionics bays and all the communications equipment and stuff, that's molded in, but you don't get any wiring. So I've added wiring. It's not accurate. I went off a reference picture and got it looking acceptable, we'll say, because I want to display this with both avionics bays open. As I say, it's not accurate. So before anyone says that wire doesn't go there, no, it probably doesn't. But it gives that visual representation of that. So if we turn it round to the other side, I just have to be really careful because I don't want to knock any of the bits off. So this is the other side. So we did exactly the same in the avionics bay there. We've got the shells for the chain gun there, as if it's been loaded. Obviously the cockpit's done. I'm going to have the cockpit open, which is why that's not sealed up as yet. We've added the wipers onto the front. So yeah, we're getting there. Lots of bits of photo etch on it, which, to be fair, it wasn't a problem. It's just time consuming. That's the thing. And obviously we've got the tail done there. So the idea with this is, the way I want to finish it is quite heavily weathered. These things got pretty beaten up on operations. Depicting this as a US Army aircraft on operations in Iraq 2003. So the idea is that it's faded, it's dirty, etc. So with that in mind, I've actually built and painted the wings. and these will be put on once I've painted the main sort of fuselage. So that's why I've painted them in this sort of style. So they're very dirty, faded panels, because Apaches are actually quite dark in colour. So it does look a bit lighter than it does to the naked eye on camera, but that is what it is. I've then built all the ordnance, so 2 different types of Hellfires and the rocket pods. I've tried to add colour where I can, because it is a very dark aircraft. So as a model, if you're looking at it as the model, it could look quite boring, so I'm trying to add some sort of visual interest to it. So 2 different types of Hellfires are done. They're okay to put together, but the photo etch fins took a long time. Obviously the racking system's all done, and decals on the rocket pods are done. So what you will notice is here, this tab in the kit is actually square, and it fits onto the side of the fuselage on both sides, sort of here. However, it's very, very difficult to do. So what I did was I cut the tabs down to make sort of a triangle shape, which is much easier to insert them then into the actual fuselage itself. Same on both sides, same sort of paint effects, armaments, etc. So all done in the same way. These sort of white tipped Hellfires, I saw a reference picture which should pop up now, which made me think, well, that's a really good way of introducing some variation, some colour. You'll notice the missiles I've kept quite clean. The idea being that obviously these are loaded onto the aircraft. They're not sort of part of the airframe that was all faded, etc. So I'm quite happy with how those have turned out. I think if I can maintain that sort of finish over the entire model, then we're onto a winner, really, for how I see it. I built one of the engines. So these are brilliant. They're really well detailed, but they take a while because there's so many parts. So built the engine itself, painted it all, installed it into the housing. Essentially is what it is, and the exhaust system here. But what I did do was add some wiring, just to, 1, add some colour, and 2, there's no wiring on the engine itself from the kit. So I had a look at some reference pictures and added some wiring, because I want these open as well on the finished build. So I've still got another one of those to do, but that one's done. And then I've built the chain gun. This was time consuming, lots and lots of parts. It's not particularly complex, it just takes time because there's some tiny parts in here. So what you will notice is the ammunition feed here at the moment is straight, but that's like a silicone rubber. So when I actually install it onto the bottom of the aircraft, which will be one of the final things, this will actually bend. It's not supposed to be straight, but it will bend as I install it into the aircraft into the right position. So that's the plan with that. So as I install that, that will give me the bend in the ammunition feed here. So that should work, hopefully. And then what I have been doing is I've been working on the, I guess, the rotor cradle, because I'm going to have the blades folded on this. So from what I could see reference wise, these were red. There's no call outs for color in the instructions at all, which is helpful. So this was primed in Mr. Surface of Mahogany, then sprayed with XF7 flat red, and now it's ready for essentially, you know, a clear coat. Pick out all the details with a pin wash, a little bit of weathering, and then on the finished build, that will sit, this particular part of it sits on the tail, and will hold the rotors. So it sits in that sort of position there, and it will hold the rotors in the folded position. Obviously with that cocktail stick there's weight in it a little bit, but it does fit and it does stay in position. So yeah, that will fit in that sort of position with the rotors folded. And there's another mechanism here around the rotors, which I haven't done yet, but they'll be in red. So again, a little bit of visual interest, and hopefully it will look something like an Apache once we're done. It's a big old lump. It's about 18 inches long. So yeah, it is big. You'll notice I've painted this panel here already, and that's because essentially that engine is for that side. That will fit into there. So painting the other side of the engine once the engines are installed will be difficult. So that is already done, and already painted in the way that I hopefully will depict the aircraft, with some panel fading and various bits and bobs. So that's it. That is my Apache so far. As I say, I'm loving the kit, but it's a slow burner. You know, you can't build this in a weekend, that's for sure. But if you take your time and you follow the instructions, check your references, I think it will turn out a lovely, lovely model at the end. What I would say is, if you're unsure about the kit, probably a really good series of videos to watch, and I'll put a link in the description, is Nigels modelling bench, because he's actually doing a build series of this. So he's showing all the challenges that come with this kit and how he's overcoming them at each stage, in the way that Nigel does. You know, he's got an engineering background, he knows what he's talking about. So I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. So if you're going to open the box on this, have a watch of those videos, because he highlights that. I wish those videos would have been out before I started putting mine together, because I've come up against the same sort of challenges, but Nigel has seemed to, you know, figured out a better way of solving them. I've solved them, but it took ages, and he's come up with some better ways of doing it. So have a look at those. And that's pretty much it, guys. So that is the Apache so far. When part 3 will be out, I've no idea. As I say, it's a slow burner. There's no rush with this. I've got till October, and I want to do the best job I can possibly do on it. So it's just take one step at a time, so to speak. But yeah, the link to the Anglo-American group build will be in the description of this video, as long as with all the other links. So get involved, come and join us, and yeah, it's good fun. So until next time, guys, stay safe, happy hobbying, bye bye.